In a kingdom carved from ice and sea, every citizen is born a millionaire. Yet, a powerful, unwritten law governs the land. Wealth must never be seen. This nation holds 1.5% of the world's entire stock market value, a fortune drawn from the frozen deep. Still, its people pay the highest price for gasoline on the planet. They bear a tax burden that would cripple other societies, all to honor a silent collective creed, a profound allergy to ostentation. Here, one of the world's most formidable economies operates on a philosophy that seems to defy every conventional rule of prosperity. The question is not merely how, but why. The answer is a story of foresight, restraint, and a strange ceremony on a distant shore. This is Norway. Its reputation as one of the happiest countries on Earth is often misunderstood. This is not a land of perpetual joy, but of profound stability. Life's great anxieties, healthcare, education, personal safety, are not daily struggles. They are foundations, engineered into the very structure of society. When crisis looms, the system is designed to absorb the shock, to blunt its force before it can shatter a single life. This architecture of security provides a calm more potent than any fleeting optimism. Trust is the invisible currency, a quiet faith that institutions will hold, that the social contract will be honored. And woven through it all is nature, not as a weekend escape, but as a constant grounding presence, a balance to the modern world. Here, happiness is not the thrill of the peak, but the quiet confidence that the ground beneath your feet will not suddenly give way. The nation's vast wealth was born of a paradox: black oil, extracted from the tempestuous North Sea. But this was no chaotic gold rush. The offshore platforms that rose from the waves were national projects, their output meticulously managed, their revenues funneled not into fleeting consumption, but into a colossal fund for generations yet to come. Now, that very same fortune is being used to engineer an escape from the fossil fuels that created it. Norway's pivot to clean energy is not a moral performance. It is an act of applied logic. Gasoline-powered cars are not outlawed with grand declarations. They are simply rendered impractical through escalating taxes. Electric vehicles are not just encouraged, they are made irresistible through incentives, toll exemptions, and an infrastructure that appears before it is even needed. Charging stations materialize on city streets and remote highways, normalizing the future long before the present is forced to change. It is within this unique national character that one of the world's most peculiar traditions unfolds. Far from the fjords, at a zoo in Edinburgh, Scotland, a king penguin named Sir Nils Olav holds the rank of Major General and Baron. He is an officially knighted, inspected member of the Norwegian King's Guard. The title is real, recognized with full military protocol, and passed down through a dynasty of penguins who inherit the name and the honor. To an outsider, it is a charming absurdity, but within the Norwegian framework, it is a form of commentary, a quiet reflection on ceremony, hierarchy, and loyalty in a nation that outwardly rejects such displays. It is a gesture that is both deeply serious and utterly self-aware. For this is the ultimate lesson of the Northern Kingdom. True prosperity is not found in what is owned or displayed, but in what is built and preserved. It is the quiet confidence of a people who have mastered the art of living well, by first understanding what is truly of value. Its environmental policy and a knighted penguin are not separate stories. They are expressions of the same deliberate decision. In Oslo, a national character reveals itself through restraint, not display. Along the harbor, the medieval walls of Akershus fortress still hold their ground, erected in the late 13th century to defend a small kingdom that understood vulnerability long before wealth arrived. The stone is heavy, practical, unembellished, shaped by the need to endure rather than impress. From its ramparts, the city appears calm, measured, and for a capital, unusually quiet. Just across the water, the Opera House rises from the fjord with a completely different vocabulary. White surfaces slope gently into the sea, inviting the public to walk across its roof as if it were common ground, not a cultural monument. There is no fence, no elevated pedestal, no attempt to separate the building from the pulse of everyday life. The structure is undeniably expensive, yet it refuses spectacle. Its value is embedded in access, not exclusivity. This pairing is not accidental. Oslo does not place its history behind glass, nor does it isolate modern ambition behind symbols of power. The city allows both to exist in the same visual conversation. Akershus speaks of survival and continuity. The Opera House speaks of collective investment. Together, they articulate a national preference for public wealth over private display. The very rhythm of the city follows this logic. Streets feel clean, but not polished. Movement is unhurried. Public spaces are designed to function first, impress second. Here, wealth does not announce itself through height or noise. It appears in reliability, in maintenance, in the quiet absence of urgency. Oslo does not try to look rich, it tries to work well. Far from the capital, the Borgund Stave Church stands as a record of how this society learned to survive by listening to its materials. Assembled in the late 12th century, the structure was built almost entirely without metal nails. Viking-era carpenters relied on precise joints, wooden pegs, and an intimate understanding of how timber behaves over decades of moisture, frost, and movement. Every beam anticipates swelling. Every connection allows the building to breathe with the seasons. It is constructed from pine, harvested from slow-growing forests, trees shaped by long winters and short summers, their density giving the wood an unusual strength and resistance to decay. Tar sealed the surfaces, darkening the walls, protecting them from a rain that arrives often and leaves slowly. The result is a building that has not resisted time so much as negotiated with it. Carved along the roof lines, dragon heads emerge from the structure, their forms borrowed from Norse mythology, a reminder of an older conversation with the wild. From the quiet functionality of a modern city to the organic endurance of an ancient church, the same principle is at work. It is a philosophy born from a landscape that rewards foresight and punishes arrogance. It is a deep cultural understanding that true strength is not found in dominating the environment, but in finding one's place within it. They were not mere flourishes of decoration. They were guardians, carved into existence to stand watch against unseen forces, a vigil in a world where nature was unpredictable and belief systems bled one into the other. Christianity had arrived, but it did not conquer. It was absorbed. Older symbols were not erased, but reshaped, given new purpose within a new story. The church became a vessel for this uneasy union, a place where pagan memory and Christian ritual would coexist, unresolved. Inside, light is a visitor, entering sparingly. Thick walls and narrow openings conjure an atmosphere closer to a forest sanctuary than a cathedral nave. The design was a deliberate echo. Worship here was not meant to overwhelm the senses with light and grandeur. It was meant to reflect the world already known, the silence, the shelter, the profound endurance of the land. Borgund is not preserved as an artifact of faith alone. It is material evidence of a people adapting their beliefs, their architecture, and their very hands to the demands of an unforgiving landscape. The building does not dominate its surroundings. It rises from them, as if grown. There are places where survival depends less on strength and more on knowing precisely where to stand. That idea finds its quiet embodiment at Hellerin, two small wooden houses nestled beneath the immense brow of a rock overhang. They were placed there not for the view, but for the protection. The stone above is a shield, deflecting rain, softening the wind, creating a pocket of stability in a landscape that offers little. The families who lived here possessed little land and few resources, so instead of forcing the terrain to yield, they listened to what it offered. The rock became a roof that required no timber and no repair, only understanding. The houses remained small because anything larger was an invitation to cold, to exposure, to risk. Hellerin is not a story of isolation. It is a lesson in compromise, a testament to the knowledge that survival meant fitting into the land, not standing apart from it. This quiet truce is a threshold, because beyond this point, the landscape no longer shelters. It rises, steep and vertical, and begins to ask something entirely different of those who pass through it. When nature ceases to offer cover, how does the human spirit respond? The ascent gives way without warning. The trees thin, and sound itself seems to fall away. What remains is a flat surface of stone, cut cleanly, holding steady above a long, vertical silence. This is Prekestolen, a broad, granite plateau, rising some 1,970 feet above the waters below. There are no railings, no markers, no attempt to frame the view. The edge exists exactly as it has for millennia, indifferent to attention or traffic. One does not arrive here quickly. The path demands time, a steady foot, and a quiet patience. By the time the plateau is reached, the breath has slowed. Movement becomes deliberate. Here, at the precipice, we are not asked to believe or to adapt. We are asked only to witness, to stand at the raw edge of the world, and to comprehend our own scale within it. To stand at the edge is not an invitation to action. It is a command for stillness. The scale of the drop forces an immediate awareness of weight, of balance, of the immense and silent distance. Every step becomes a measured calculation. The surface itself tells a far longer story. This is rock scoured and shaped by immense pressure, by the slow retreat of continental ice. Its clean geometry is not architectural, but geological. The flatness is an accident of deep time. The height is the result of gradual removal, not of violent uplift. Long before it became a destination, it was already complete. What draws the human spirit here is not the pursuit of a thrill, it is the raw experience of scale. Against something so ancient and so heavy, the human figure appears precise, temporary, and starkly defined. The plateau holds its visitor without reaction. The space below remains open, vast, and silent. At the edge, no explanation is required. Certain ideas are simply rendered unnecessary. Here, the landscape tightens. Rock rises higher, space narrows. As elevation is gained, the field of vision below is lost, replaced by sheer walls of stone that press ever closer. This compression defines the road known as Lisevägen. It is a scar carved directly into hard rock, folding into the mountainside through 27 hairpin turns. Each curve exposes a new, impossible angle of the valley, only to remove it just as quickly. The slope is constant, the surface is controlled, but the surroundings are not. Sheer rock faces absorb all sound. Vegetation thins to nothing. The sense of height intensifies as the terrain offers fewer and fewer visual anchors. This passage is memorable not for its speed or its danger, but for how it fundamentally changes behavior. Drivers slow without instruction, passengers lean forward, an instinctive response to the vertical world outside. The eyes stay fixed ahead. Height is no longer a view to be seen, but a pressure to be felt. At the upper reaches of the fjord, the scale shifts once more. At Kiragbolten, a massive boulder is wedged between two vertical cliff faces, suspended over a drop of nearly 3,200 feet. The stone appears impossibly fixed, yet the space around it feels unresolved. Wind moves freely through the gap. The cliffs frame the void without ever closing it. This formation exists without modification, without explanation. No markers define its edges. No structure reinforces its precarious hold. The rock remains, held in place by pressure alone, surrounded by open air. Elsewhere, a thin slab of stone, Trolltunga, extends outward over that same open air, a feature held in place by the brute force of geology, not by the grace of human design. The surface stays level, the edge remains exposed. The drop keeps its distance, unchanged by presence or by time. We arrive, we stand, we pause, and we step back, leaving no mark upon the stone. Its shape is a declaration, horizontal and absolute, a tongue of stone known as Trolltunga. It projects into the void, some 2,300 feet above the deep, cold waters of Lake Ringadalsvatnet, a narrow platform ending in a sheer, vertical drop into the abyss. Its surface, a table of ancient rock, has been worn smooth by an eternity of ice, water, and wind. This structure was born in the last ice age. Thick glaciers, a force of unimaginable weight, ground through the valley below. The moving ice scoured away softer layers of stone, leaving this harder, horizontal section embedded in the mountain's flank. Over millennia, water became the patient sculptor. It seeped into natural fractures, and through endless cycles of freezing and thawing, it widened those cracks. slowly prying the slab outward from the mountain's heart. What remains is a monument to pressure and release, an act of geology played out over thousands of years. The surrounding terrain is a high mountain plateau, a world shaped by prolonged, brutal erosion. Here, ice once reached a thickness of over 3,200 feet, carving the profound valley and leaving the precipitous walls that still define its edges. To reach this place requires a pilgrimage, a long and arduous hike across exposed ground, a journey of 8 to 12 hours. The distance is unforgiving, the terrain relentless, the weather a fickle master. The formation itself offers no grand reveal. It simply extends into space, an unchanging presence, while the land around it falls away. But descend from this high, austere world, and the very nature of the landscape begins to shift. The rock walls widen, the slopes soften, water, instead of plunging, spreads. This transformation finds its ultimate expression along the Hardanger Fjord, where broad valleys open to the sea, allowing precious soil to accumulate. The fjord is fed by meltwater from glaciers perched high above, a constant delivery of moisture and mineral-rich runoff. This unique confluence of elements creates one of the few regions in Norway where the land can be tamed for large-scale fruit cultivation. Here, apple orchards line the lower slopes. They are planted in long folds. The trees erupt in a sea of blossoms, while snow still clings to the mountain peaks. It is a seasonal overlap shaped not by chance, but by the immutable laws of elevation and temperature. The orchards depend on these predictable cycles, producing fruit that ripens slowly in the brief, intense northern summer. Farming here is an act of precision. The landscape offers abundance, but only within the strictest of terms. It is a fragile harvest, wrested from the stone, a delicate bloom born from the shadow of the ice. Farther inland, where the terrain swells into titans of stone, the water gathers its strength. This concentration of force finds its voice in Voringsfossen. Here, meltwater from the vast Hardangervidda Plateau plummets nearly 600 feet into a canyon it has carved for itself. The flow is a prisoner of the seasons, yet the channel is constant, a testament etched into hard rock by millennia of runoff. A modern pedestrian bridge now spans the gorge. Its design is an exercise in restraint, minimal, functional, engineered to withstand the relentless spray and vibration. It does not seek to frame the waterfall, but to allow observation, a silent witness to a power that it cannot alter. Below, on slopes where soil is deep enough to hold root, orchards remain fixed. But higher up, the water accelerates, its course absolute, a singular channel cut deep into the rock, indifferent to the life that grows in its shadow. Along the coast, the rain is not an event, but a presence. It arrives in long, patient cycles, darkening the wood, softening the edges of the world. Water settles into every surface, a permanent resident. This very condition gave birth to Bergen, a city forged where mountains press against the sea. The harbor was its gateway to the rich fishing grounds and the arteries of global trade. The steep terrain behind it was a wall, forbidding expansion. The result was a settlement turned entirely toward the water, its lifeblood and its horizon. Boats arrived heavy with their catch. They departed laden with commerce. Here, storage, trade, and repair were not specialized crafts, but the daily rhythm of survival. At the heart of this system stands Bryggen, a waterfront spine of narrow, wooden warehouses. These structures are relics of an age when the Hanseatic League commanded the trade routes of the North Atlantic. Through these buildings flowed mountains of dried cod and herring, preserved for a journey across Europe. This fish sustained empires and fed distant populations, binding this remote port to the far corners of the known world. The buildings lean into one another, a consequence of centuries settling on reclaimed land. Timber frames, consumed by repeated fires, were rebuilt, often upon the same ancient footprints. The bright colors came later, not for decoration, but for identification, a simple code of ownership and storage. Wood remains the essential material, maintained rather than replaced, its character deepened by the persistent weather. And still, the rain passes through the harbor. It drains from the eaves, darkens the planks, and runs in rivulets between the buildings, always returning to the sea. The passage narrows, first gradually, then all at once. Water and rock converge, until there is almost no space left between them. The port remains active, its routines established long before the age of modern infrastructure. It is a living testament to a fundamental truth. Here, the land does not belong to the people belong to the land, their lives shaped by the unyielding logic of water and stone. Here, in the heart of Norway, lies the Fjord, a chasm of water and stone. At its most claustrophobic passage, the distance between opposing rock walls contracts to a mere 820 feet. From the water's edge, mountains ascend, sheer and abrupt, climbing more than 5,500 feet into the sky. There is no shore, no gentle transition, only a stark vertical line where fjord meets cliff. The shape of this place is a story of immense geological constraint. During the last ice age, a glacier scoured this valley, but its path was hemmed in by unusually hard bedrock. Unable to widen the passage, the colossal weight of the ice could only carve downward. Millennia of this relentless vertical erosion finally retreated, the sea rushed in, flooding the scar left in the earth and preserving its narrow, dramatic profile. Below the placid surface, the abyss deepens with astonishing speed. In places, the fjord floor plunges more than 1,600 feet. The water above remains a mirror, sheltered from the wind by the enclosing rock. Reflections hold, doubling the height of the cliffs, blurring the boundary between stone and its liquid image. Vegetation clings only where fractures in the rock allow soil to gather. Waterfalls descend in silent silver threads, fed by the seasonal melt from the highlands. There is little sound here beyond water and wind, and even those are absorbed by the sheer scale and distance. For miles, the fjord holds this compressed form, a testament to the power of ice and the resilience of stone. In such a vertical world, human movement becomes an act of internalization. Instead of crossing open ground, infrastructure must disappear into the rock itself. This is the logic of the Flåmsbana, a railway built to connect an isolated fjord settlement with the world above. The line climbs more than 2,800 feet over a breathtakingly short distance, making it one of the steepest standard-gauge railways on Earth. Construction began in the early 20th century. With none of the machines of the modern age, the work was almost entirely done by hand. Crews drilled, blasted, and cleared their way through solid gneiss, often advancing only a few feet each day. The route passes through 20 tunnels, many carved directly into the mountainside. It does not conquer the terrain, it yields to it, threading between waterfalls and ravines, adjusting its grade and curvature to what the landscape would allow. What began as essential infrastructure has become a revelation. The same line that moved goods and people now exposes a compressed, impossible sequence of valleys and falling water, a world visible only because this railway was forced into existence. This principle, of moving within the rock rather than upon it, finds its modern expression deep underground. The Lærdal Tunnel extends for 15¼ miles, the longest road tunnel currently in operation. Yet instead of a straight, monotonous passage, engineers introduced a system of gradually changing light, transforming a journey through darkness into an experience of subtle, illuminated chambers. Whether carved by ice or by human hands, the most profound passages are not those of limitless space. They are the ones shaped by unyielding boundaries, where the only way forward is to go deeper. A ribbon of soft blue and yellow light pulses through the darkness, marking intervals in a journey through the mountain's core. The path follows the logic of geology, a course dictated by the stone itself, avoiding the sharp turns and steep grades of the world above. Here, deep within the earth, ventilation systems and emergency passages are seamlessly integrated, leaving the peak wholly undisturbed. A current of steel and light flows through, its passengers oblivious to the colossal weight of rock, the immense pressure of the mountain holding its ancient shape. The world outside is one of verticality. Sheer walls of ancient stone plunge directly into the silent, dark water of the Geiranger Fjord, leaving little room for shore or settlement. Far above, snow clings to the peaks, a stark white crown visible even when the water below is lost in shadow. This chasm, carved by the slow, inexorable grind of primeval ice, reaches depths of more than 1,300 feet. The slopes are unforgiving, offering few breaks where soil might gather, where life might easily take root. From these high snowfields, a legend spills over the cliffs. The Seven Sisters, 7 distinct streams descending side by side, a drop of several hundred feet into the fjord below. Their flow is a testament to the seasons, thundering in the spring melt, whispering by late summer. Each stream holds its own path, a family of water that never fully merges. Local tradition speaks of them as sisters, forever pursued by a suitor across the water, a story that endures as the cascade itself continues its timeless fall. Higher still, clinging to impossible ledges, are the ghosts of a forgotten tenacity. Small wooden farmsteads, anchored to narrow terraces hewn from the rock. They were once reached only by ladder and treacherous footpath, places where livestock grazed on whatever grass could survive. In time, the isolation proved too great. The farms were abandoned, but not erased. Where the valley constricts, where the rock walls close in, human ambition answers with an audacity carved in stone. Trollstigen, the troll's path. It is a steep mountain road built into a near vertical slope. 11 sharp hairpin turns ascend through exposed rock, each one cut by hand into the solid face of the mountain. Begun in the early 20th century, it was an act of will, secured with controlled blasting and retaining walls. Here, waterfalls are not a feature to be viewed, but an element to be crossed, spilling directly over the pavement in the thaw. The structures remain, the waterfalls thunder on, the fjord holds its depth, a silent testament that while we may carve our paths through this world, it is the world itself that endures, its ancient form holding the final, quiet shape of everything. Here, along the spine of the mountains, the road is a temporary truce. It exists for only a fraction of the year, before ice and rockfall reclaim the passage, rendering it unreliable, impassable. Nothing about this route feels permanent. Guardrails are a minimal suggestion. The surface narrows, clinging to the contours of the earth. It is the mountain that dictates where a road can be and where it cannot. Maintenance is a continuous, desperate act. Stability is merely conditional. At the coast, the scale changes, but the cycle does not. A series of low islands faces the open sea, home to a city born from disaster. In 1904, a fire swept through, an inferno that consumed nearly every wooden structure, erasing a history written in timber. Reconstruction was immediate, but instead of repeating the past, the city turned to stone, embracing the Art Nouveau style, then flowing through northern Europe. The old grid was replaced by curving facades, detailed ornamentation, and narrow streets that channeled the wind. Buildings rose in dense clusters, adapted to the rain and the limited ground. The harbor, the city's lifeblood, quickly resumed its function. Fishing, shipping, repair, all continued, a testament to resilience over relocation. The mountain road above and the city below endure. One requires constant attention, simply to hold its place. The other stands as the result of total replacement, a rejection of preservation. Further out, the open water presses in from both sides. There is no shelter here. There is only exposure and timing. This is the Atlantic Road, a short but deliberate series of bridges stitching together a chain of small islands, laid directly across the face of the North Atlantic. It spans a little over 5 miles, built low against the sea rather than elevated in defiance of it. Its alignment follows the natural gaps between the islands, the very channels where the waves have always moved freely. There is no buffer between structure and weather. Its most iconic section is the Store Sundit Bridge. The span curves sharply at its highest point, rising some 70 feet above the water before descending back toward the sea. From certain angles, the deck appears to simply end, a road to nowhere, an illusion created by its severe curvature. The structure was engineered to flex, to yield under load, allowing the colossal forces of wind and wave to pass through it, rather than concentrate their stress on a single, fatal point. This place is defined by the memory of its storms. Waves erupt over the roadway, salt spray eclipses the guardrails, wind drives water sideways across the deck. These events were not unforeseen obstacles to be avoided. They were conditions to be accounted for in the design itself. During its construction, the road was closed repeatedly, damaged more than once, only to be reinforced and completed. Its final form is not the reflection of an original ideal, but a record of the adjustments demanded by the unyielding sea. There are no auxiliary barriers, no secondary routes. The bridges remain utterly exposed. Both the road and the city occupy locations where failure has already occurred. They persist in a state of perpetual continuation, built not on the avoidance of collapse, but on the absolute necessity of rebuilding. The road remains, an unyielding ribbon of stone and tar. It accepts the weight of passage without complaint. But below, beneath the spans of concrete and steel, the water is a different story. It is a constant pilgrim, forever moving, its force and direction unchanged by the world built above it. Along the shorelines of the Lofoten Islands, a seasonal architecture appears. Wooden racks, stark as skeletons, fill the coast during the long winter. Here, a tradition older than memory unfolds. Split cod hang in long, silent rows, exposed to the biting wind and the cold, dry air. There is no salt, no smoke, no fuel, only the elements, performing a slow and perfect alchemy. This is the rhythm of Diorbur, cluster at the water's edge, their placement dictated by access, not aesthetics. The color itself was once a necessity, a defiant slash of red against the gray canvas of fog and snow, a beacon for fishermen returning from the sea. For centuries, this entire coastline has been bound to a single, epic migration. Each winter, Atlantic cod surge into these waters to spawn, and for generations, their arrival has shaped every facet of existence. The fish, once caught, are processed and hung, where the low temperatures and steady airflow cure the flesh without freezing it. The result is stock fish, light, durable, and rich in protein. It was a product that built economies, linking these remote outposts to the markets of a distant world. Further east, at Henningsvær, the struggle for space finds its most poetic expression. Here, on a flat expanse of rock, lies a football pitch, surrounded on all sides by the open sea. There are no stands, no barriers. Fishing boats drift past as a game unfolds, its fate dependent on the weather and the fleeting daylight. The pitch exists for one simple reason: no other ground was available. It is a testament to a life where separation is minimal, where cooperation is not a symbol, but a daily routine. Structures stay anchored to the rock, while the sea remains an immediate, overwhelming presence. As winter deepens, the theater of life shifts from the sea to the sky. Above the city of Tromsø, high in the Arctic Circle, the darkness creates a stage for the planet's most ethereal performance. It begins as a faint arc, barely distinguishable from a cloud. Then, it strengthens, gathering intensity, forming silent, shimmering bands of green and violet light that dance across the heavens. This is the aurora borealis, a celestial spectacle born of violence, as charged particles from the sun collide with the Earth's upper atmosphere. Its motion is slow, continuous, a silent, luminous river flowing in a sky of infinite black, utterly independent of the sleeping landscape below. Yet even beneath this cosmic fire, the world is not frozen. The waters around Tromsø remain stubbornly ice-free, a paradox in the polar night. A warm current, a ghost of equatorial heat, travels thousands of miles north to keep the harbor open. At sea level, life continues. Here, in the far north, humanity does not conquer the landscape. It learns to inhabit the margins, to anchor itself to the unmoving rock, while honoring the ceaseless motion of the water and the sky. It is a life lived in a state of profound and humbling equilibrium, a quiet acknowledgement that the most powerful forces are not those we create, but those we are merely permitted to witness. In the winter months, the frigid northern waters swell with life. Vast concentrations of herring, driven by ancient rhythms, draw predators, becoming a predictable yet fleeting pattern. The surface breaks, a momentary disturbance of black and white against the gray sea, and then it is calm again. Below, there is no spectacle. The hunt is a quiet and controlled interaction, an exchange shaped by necessity, not display. Once the school is dispersed, their purpose served, the pod vanishes, leaving the water as if it had never been. Above, the Arctic light continues its slow, ceaseless shift. Color drains from the world, only to return again. Clouds drift through the immense sky, their passage an event on a scale separate from the life below. Nothing here pauses for observation. The cycle is bound by forces far removed from the surface, sustained through profound darkness and cold. This is Svalbard, an archipelago deep within the Arctic Circle. Here, human logistics bend to the will of the planet. Commercial flights operate on limited schedules. Cargo, fuel, and food arrive only when the sea and sky allow. Permafrost and seasonal ice set the baseline for daily existence. The ice forms and breaks, a seasonal pulse gating the ocean. The frozen ground itself fixes buildings to shallow foundations, a constant reminder of the impermanence of all things built here. Movement beyond the small settlements follows strict rules, dictated not by distance, but by weather and wildlife. For on this land, one presence holds dominion. The polar bear is not a symbol here, it is a regulated reality. Travel beyond the town's edge requires formidable precaution, and an encounter is treated as a serious risk, never a spectacle. The great bears move across the ice and coastline, following their prey, their paths utterly unaffected by human boundaries. Yet beneath the rock, buried deep in the frozen ground, sits a different kind of persistence. The Svalbard Global Seed Vault, a final repository for the world's agricultural heritage. The location was chosen for its stability, its profound isolation, its natural, enduring cold that does not rely on power. The vault remains sealed for years at a time, a silent ark awaiting a future it was built to prevent. Life on the surface follows its own unusual rules, born of the same cold. Burial is not permitted. The permanently frozen ground preserves, but does not allow for return. Those who reach the end of their lives here are transported elsewhere. The policy is not ceremonial, but practical, shaped by soil conditions rather than belief. Buildings remain low, roads end abruptly. Systems are simplified to only what can be repaired locally. The settlement functions within the narrowest of margins, an outpost surrounded by ice, rock, and open water. This landscape does not accommodate expansion. It allows a human presence, but only within its own clear and unyielding limits. It is a persistence forged in humility, a way of being that endures only as long as conditions permit, while the environment remains dominant, unchanged by human intention. For the ice did more than carve the fjords. It shaped a soul, teaching a profound lesson, that in the face of true power, survival is not about conquest, but consent. Buried deep within the Arctic permafrost, a vault protects the very seeds of human civilization. It is a promise made to the future, a testament to a nation leading a new, green era. Here, true strength is not measured in conquest, but in a profound reverence for the natural world. This reverence surfaces in the most unexpected of traditions. To witness the knighting of a king penguin is not to witness a spectacle, but a solemn acknowledgement, a greeting to all of creation, woven into the fabric of national honor. For Norway is more than a destination etched in fjords and ice. It is a living blueprint for a future humanity has yet to fully grasp. A future where we do not simply endure the wild, but find a way to flourish in its embrace, to build a lasting civilization in partnership with the ice itself.